Okay, how's everybody doing? Good. All right, right on. Still awake? Very good. My name is Louis Lautman. I know that I speak with an accent, so hopefully you guys can understand me. Yeah? Okay, very good. I have about 15 minutes here, and there's a lot that I can touch on, but what I really want to do is tell my story. And through my story, a lot of the context will be this 4-hour work week, because I think that's the group here. There's a quote that I live my life by, which is, lifestyle mastery is when the people who know you best don't know the difference between your work and your play. So I can truly stand here in front of you and tell you that most people don't know when I'm either working or playing. I currently have an outsourcing company out of the Philippines. We do project management work, we develop websites, we do outbound call center, inbound customer service type work, and virtual assistant work. But I want to tell you more about my entrepreneurial journey and tie it back to your entrepreneurial journey. Just out of curiosity, how many people would throw themselves in that ring and say, yes, I'm an entrepreneur? Okay, then how many people would not really relate to being an entrepreneur, but more the technicians, have a technical skill? Yeah, there's a couple of you guys out there. And that's a really big distinction that I'm going to talk about, that we should really get clear on who we are, like what we do, because my belief is, and I have a lot of like core fundamental beliefs that drive me every day, like when I wake up, what I think, who I talk to, how I talk to people, things that really drive me. And the first is that we all have gifts. We all have a certain characteristic. Some people are better at talking to people. Some people are better at more technical type things. And these are blessings for us that we need to learn to utilize so we can grow our company. If you're more of a technical person, and as Niels was saying, that technical person is trying to deal with customers that they, don't like? Is that what he said, right? That business is probably not going to be successful. So you're going to need to find somebody who can talk to clients and perhaps help you generate revenue. I'm going to go back to my first entrepreneurial experience. I'll never forget it. I was 5 years old and I learned about chewing gum, bubble gum. I love bubble gum, and I was at the store and I asked my mom, "Mom, can I have some bubble gum?" And she said, "You need money in order to buy gum." And I was 5, I didn't have any gum, so I went to my parents' house and I opened up their cabinet and I pulled out pretzels, little hard Snyder's pretzels, and we had a cowbell in our house, and I started walking down my street with a little red wagon. I'll never forget it. I'm ringing the cowbell saying, "Pretzels for sale, pretzels for sale," because I knew that if I wanted to have candy or gum, I needed money. That's what my mom told me. I ended up selling pretzels to my neighbors, and I made enough money to where I could go and have as much candy as I wanted. Fast forward through school, I was always selling different products to my friends, and I just thought of it as a way that I could do the things that I really wanted to do, because our society was built on money. I was all for bartering, but when I went to the store and tried to barter something, they wanted money in exchange for that. So the biggest challenge for most of our businesses is that we're passionate, we've got a great idea, and it's going to be the next Facebook, and it's going to be $1 billion company, but we don't have enough revenue. And I can tell you that I'm kind of a from the streets kind of guy, like go out there and hustle and make it happen kind of guy. I've never had any investments, I've never had anyone invest into my business other than myself. I've never raised capital, so that's not what I can tell you about. But what I can talk about is taking your idea from this is what I want to do, to seeing it out here, to seeing it, out here, from the inside to the outside. Ironically enough, with Brandon, I also started in telecommunications sales. But I would say that for a lot of people, learning to convey a message is probably one of the best things that you could possibly do. I don't care if you're an engineer or a web developer or a graphic designer or whatever it is that you guys do. If you want to win a client, you're going to need to be able to communicate with them in a way that they want to communicate, that they feel comfortable with. Luckily, we have the internet, and a lot of us don't have to talk, and we only type messages back and forth, or our work speaks for itself. But at some point in your life, you're going to have to sell yourself to a client. You're going to have to sell yourself to a partner, your employees, a lot of people that we need to talk to in business. So I always feel that working on our communication skills is one of the most important things that we can do. I got a job in New York City right out of college, and my motto in college was C's get degrees. I don't know what the school system is here in Germany, but a C in the US is like the worst you can do, but still get that degree. I didn't do anything where I live and have a good time with my friends, but I knew that that was the minimum I could put in and get my degree. Now, does anybody have employees here? Contractors maybe that they work with? Know some people that have a job? Or you have a job, maybe you work in an office. Maybe you work in an office. Are there employees out there that do just as little as possible without getting fired? Yes or no? Yeah. Woo. That's what most people do when they're not motivated to do something for themselves, which is why I love entrepreneurs, because at the end of the day, most of us in this room, or most of us that would resonate with the fact that, yes, I'm an entrepreneur, would probably rather work 80 hours a week for themselves, making next to nothing, than 40 hours a week for somebody else, making that person rich. Does anybody else resonate with that? Yeah, that was a fundamental kind of like, that governs my life. Today, I really work whenever I want. You know, there will be days where I'll work 16 hours a day. Like from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, I'm on my computer, I'm working. There will be days where I don't do anything. And that's multiple days in a row because I've set up my business that way. You know, Brandon was talking about outsourcing. Niels was talking about finding partners, people who will do the work for you. I'll give you a little background on my story. So right out of college, I got a job in New York City selling phone and internet service to businesses in 1999. I'm 37. After 2 years of selling phone and internet services to businesses, I was one of the top salespeople out of about 2,000. They moved me to Tampa, Florida in the US to open up my own sales office. I was 23 years old and I hired 27 salespeople. And I had to tell them, go sell our stuff every day and, you know, figure out how to get these people to grow the company that we were working with. After about a year of managing that office, I realized that for me, my passion was really helping people be successful. I had learned a skill set that was called selling this product or services that we were. And I started my own seminar company. So I wanted to do the thing that I already knew how to do. For some of you, it's, you know, graphic design. For some of you, it might be singing. For others, it might be some other skill set that you have. But that's one of the most important things that I believe that we want to look for is, what do I already know how to do? What am I already doing that I can make a profit off of, that I can actually start a business out of? And then we want to start looking at, and this is probably one of my biggest mistakes for starting the training company. I did it for about 4.5 years, and I'll tell you how I transitioned out of that. I was doing sales seminars to sales companies. I'd go in and do a public sales seminar, and then I was doing public sales trainings. As I was turning 30, I had this idea that I wanted to make a movie about entrepreneurs. Came up with this crazy idea. I'd never made a movie, but I thought I can organize people, shouldn't be that hard. It took me about a year. I ended up making a movie. It's called The Yes Movie. You can check it out on Amazon, The Yes Movie. But it profiles all these young multimillionaires. So I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with about 100 young, self-made business people, people who've all kind of built their companies into multi-million-dollar companies in their teenage years and in their 20s. And I'll never forget, there was a guy named Brad Sugars. Anybody from Australia? No? Okay. Well, he owns the largest executive coaching company in the world. They have about 1,000 offices. He was in his 30s when I interviewed him, but he had started business, you know, at the wee age of 12. And the one thing that he said to me, he said, Louis, you never have a business until you can walk away from that business for 6 months and it doesn't lose a penny. And in fact, it should grow at that time. And at that time, I was thinking, oh my goodness, you know, the business that I had built up until that point was the seminar company, the educational training company, was, if I wasn't working in it, I wasn't making any money in it. So it wasn't sustainable. Now, around that time when we were launching the movie, all these people from around the world were flying me out, and I was doing presentations and trainings based around the skill sets of the movie. This was back in 2008 when we launched it. Came up with the idea in 2007, 2008. And along that time, maybe you guys have been here, I had people, prior to 2007, I had people in the US, employees that were working for me. I was paying more than I could afford for services. And I heard about outsourcing. I heard about finding employees outside of my country, which was the US, and I tried everywhere from Belarus, Russia, to Uruguay, to Pakistan, Bangladesh, and I don't know, anybody ever heard of problems outsourcing? Communication problems, people disappearing on you, I mean, all these issues, right? After about 2 years of like banging my head against the wall, I finally discovered the Philippines, and for me, I felt a lot more comfortable with their level of English, their production, their work style, from a cost-value perspective in terms of what I was getting for what I was investing. And I had slowly built this team for myself, specifically for my educational company. And as I was going around traveling the world and teaching these skills, people were asking me, oh, tell me more about the outsourcing, what you're doing, how do you do that? And then I started teaching and telling people about how do you outsource. And then people say, you know what, I don't want to know how to do it. Can you just do it for me? Can I give you something to give to your team? I was just like, yeah, I guess so, sure. And then, here, can you develop this website? Yeah, sure. Can you design these graphics? Can you edit this video? Yeah, sure. Do people make phone calls? Yeah, sure. And all these things started coming up, and what had happened was I started making more money passively because I'm not a virtual assistant. My company has developed several hundred websites. I'm not a web developer. I'm an entrepreneur that knows how to organize stuff. So I found the right people. I found the right team that knows how to get stuff done, and I just find the deals and give them the work. So I started making more money providing my outsourcing services than I was doing, like going out and doing my educational training and selling those services, to where I came to a point in my life where I was thinking, I want to help people. That's my driving passion. I want to provide a valuable service, and I want to be fairly compensated for it. And this was around the time when the 4-Hour Workweek came out, if you guys remember. And it came to a point where I thought, I'm making more money with the outsourcing company passively than I was with this thing that I'm, bashing my head against the wall every single day, where I literally just kind of walked away from that company. We still have products and services that we sell online, and every now and then, people will talk to me about it, but I do nothing for that company anymore. And all my energy is on the outsourcing company. So the lesson there to think about is, you might be here saying, I'm going to get this to work, I'm going to get this to work, but you have somebody tapping you on your shoulder and says, well, how about that thing right there, right in front of your face? Just let go. Have you heard that story of the monkey and the banana? Yeah. He's trying to pull the banana out, and here comes the rhinoceros about to, run him over, and he goes, I just have to get this banana. And, if he doesn't let go of that banana, the rhinoceros is going to run him over. That's how I felt. I was holding on to a banana for a little while. That I just want to make this company work, when I had this other opportunity right in front of my face. So I went full steam ahead with that, and I just decided, I'm going to start selling my company, my team, their services. And I've been doing it ever since. I'll never forget, back in 2008, this is when I was living in South Beach, Florida, if anybody's familiar. And I had met a guy, a friend of mine. He bought Tim Ferriss's company from him that he writes about in the 4-Hour Workweek. And this guy was from New Zealand, and he was talking about, we would go out to dinner and things, and he was telling me how he travels every 3 months. And I was like, man, that's so cool. He would just say, yeah, I'm going to go live in this city for 3 months. And then he would go live in another city. He was in Miami for 3 months. That's just so cool. I'll never forget, my lease was coming up. This is, again, 2000, I met him in 2008, this was happening in 2009, my lease was coming up, and it was just one thing after another. I was already renting out my apartment on something, Craigslist, basically. I would rent it out for a month, and then I would go on some crazy adventure, and then come back, and get back to work and do something. But I'll never forget, I had met this couple who told me they were on their 1-year honeymoon. I was like, wow, 1-year honeymoon, that's pretty cool. The guy had a cigar business, an online business, and the wife helped support his business. And they rented out their house in Michigan for a year, and they said, we're just going to work from wherever we're and spend 1 month in a different country all around the world. They chose my apartment in Miami, 1 month. And that was all these things were man, there's all these opportunities to travel and explore the world. And I was already traveling quite a bit because when we launched the movie, a lot of people were flying me to all these different places. And my lease was coming up, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I didn't renew my lease. I gave away or sold anything I could, got rid of all my stuff, and I've been traveling full-time ever since. So I don't know, 2014, 6 years maybe, since 2009 basically. And I literally spend anywhere from 1 week to about a month in a city. I've been doing it consistently, haven't stopped. My problem at this point is I don't know where I live. But the whole idea is, there's these principles out there, these 4-hour work week principles. I'd like to believe and say I'm living them. I have a sustainable income. I'm making very good money, well into the 6 figures. I work when I want, and I have a team that handles the business, that does the things that need to happen. Brandon was talking about it. If you talk to any successful business person, if you have that technical skill, it's only going to take you so far. You've got to find, you don't have to have necessarily a co-founder. It's a great idea to have one. You don't necessarily have to have venture capital. It's a great idea to have it. You don't necessarily need an angel investor. It's a great idea to have. What you need is the ability to find a niche in the marketplace and be able to fill it with your product or service and get it out as far and wide as possible. There's something called, anybody heard of a guy named Roger Hamilton? He has a personality profile called the Wealth Dynamics profile. It's amazing. I actually looked at that, and I was kind of between the star and the creator. The star is the person who has to go out and talk and sell it all, but the creator is the person who creates it and puts all the people in place. I highly encourage you guys to take that personality profile because it specifically is geared for entrepreneurs and building out your business, because we all have one of these profiles he talks about, and the amazing thing is you fill one profile, the Roger Hamilton, the Wealth Dynamics personality profile test. But you need to find the complementary people that will complement your character. There's people, my sister, I started doing business with my sister. She has a marketing company, and she is like an operations guru. Like, when she's 3 years younger than me, when she was like in high school and college and just getting out, I would hire her to like organize my paperwork and like pay her little things to do. She was so organized, it was so amazing. And now she has a marketing company. And all she wants to do is get clients and manage her team and get stuff done. She always says to me, I don't want to go out and sell and market and talk to people. I can't do that. But there's someone out there that all they want to do is market and close deals and bring them to her? I'm one of those guys, and I've started doing that with her. But the whole concept is you have a certain characteristic, God-given gifts that you have. You might as well utilize them to the fullest. And then that way, you can find the other people, whether they're employees, they're partners, they're contractors, they're interns, they're mentors, they're coaches. Bring them into your business to help you grow. I don't know how I'm running on time here or where we're at, but so basically, where are we at on time, by the way?
Yes, a few more minutes.
Okay, you told me 5 minutes. It seemed like 5 minutes ago. 2 minutes. So, the main thing I would say is just figure out what you want to do. There's going to be people in the process that are going to tell you. Does anybody feel they think you're crazy? Okay. If I don't have someone tell me I'm crazy, I don't think I'm on the right path. Like, if I told people about my lifestyle, like what I do, how I run my business, people really wouldn't believe it. I'm happy to tell you anything. But people just really wouldn't imagine it. Like, they wouldn't imagine it. They'd say, that's crazy. I don't believe it. It's impossible. You have to believe in yourself, as Brandon said. It's the absolute bottom truth. You don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in you. But all of you have an idea. All of you have a concept. There's something to be said for visualization. The challenge is most people aren't clear on where they want to take it. I would be really clear on where you want to take it. And then all you need to do is just kind of fill in the blanks. Where do I need to go from here to get there? I've had ups and downs. I've had, with the outsourcing company, we started, this is another big one, we started doing project by project. So we would go out, we'd do a project, we'd make some money, that'd be great. And I'd be like, oh boy, now I've got to go out and find another project. Does anybody else do that? It's a pain in the butt, quite frankly. I don't personally, I never like doing that. I just want to have a client that pays me all the time and life is good. And I don't even want to do the work. I want my company, I want my team to do the work. I want to just make sure everybody's happy and things are working out well. Because that's what a business owner does. And that's the difference in the identity between a business owner and someone who's self-employed or a freelancer. Robert Kiyosaki, has anybody looked at the cash flow quadrant? We start as employees, maybe we're freelancing and we go out, we're self-employed, we're working 80 hours a week now. We found ourselves another job. The idea is to remove yourself from that work, have someone else do it, and just inspect the work, make sure it's working, then bring in more people, more clients, more revenue, make sure that's all working. Now you go from being self-employed to being a business owner. That's the ultimate place you want to get to until you sell that company. Now you've got some cash, and then you become an investor. That's the fun part. I love figuring out now, where do I want to place my money? Don't just sit there in a bank. I actively look for investments. That's a fun part of growing, and I'm looking forward to having more money so I can invest more, and then make more money and invest more. That's the fun part about being an entrepreneur, the whole evolution of it. But anybody that tells you it's point A to point B is lying probably. There's all of these ups and downs. I mean, I can tell you I've lost clients that have taken my income in half, gotten shocked, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? But there's something that I believe in really big is kind of being in the flow, doing that thing that I love. And all I do is I travel around, I hang out with entrepreneurs, and I try my best to help them with their business. And that helps me generate income to support my business, support my lifestyle, and support the things that I do. And all of you, my belief is that all of you have a flow for you. For some people, I've met people that say, all I want to do is write code for 14 hours a day. That's cool. Figure out a way to do it. Find a partner who will go out and find clients for you, or find a company that you can co-found, or someone that will put you on retainer and just write for them. But I believe all of you have that kind of characteristic that you can be in the flow, so you're truly doing the things that you love. So,
Cool.
That's all I got for you.
You can be a photographer if you buy a camera. You can be a filmmaker. You can be a writer if you buy a laptop. You think really that somebody from the Philippines can keep the same quality as an English native speaker, for example, for writing something?
So there's 100 million people in the Philippines. I'm from the U.S. I've met a lot of bad writers in the U.S. I've met a lot of bad writers in the Philippines also. I would say it's very subjective. So let's start at the very, very bottom, data entry. Let's just say data entry is one of the simplest things. You could probably go to Bangladesh for 90 cents an hour and find someone who will copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. They'll do the same job as a Harvard MBA. Copy, paste, copy, paste. Okay, so that's data entry. Now we get into maybe voice services. Certainly is different. My company, at least, charges significantly less than if you hired someone in the U.S. So what I would look at is the value that we're getting. So let's say you hire a developer out of San Francisco that you're paying $200-300 per hour for, versus someone in a third world country, Philippines, Pakistan, wherever you are, and you're paying $10 an hour for it. What they'll do in 30 hours is equal to what the person will do in 1 hour. It's different for all businesses. So some people might not want to or might not be able to afford that higher level, and they're okay with the kind of production that they'll get for $10 US, I'm thinking US dollars, per hour. So it's really subjective. In terms of copywriting, if you don't feel comfortable giving your copy or your article writing to someone in another country, don't do it. But I was committed to stay in business. I personally couldn't afford to spend 120 US for my web programmer, $80 US an hour for my web developer, $60 US an hour for my transcriptionist. We do transcription work now, it's $10 US an hour, versus I was paying 60 per hour. It's the same words, they all come out at the end of the day, they're the very same transcription work. US person might be a little bit quicker, but at the end of the day, the final result, if you have two websites that are the exact same, where someone got it done, they may not know. But it's certainly a subjective value question.
So you don't think that there's no quality difference?
It's very subjective, and it would depend on the type of work.
I'm on the other side of the chain. I'm a digital nomad, and I send a proposal every day. And
So,
my find is with quality.
Yeah. So that's your selling point. Your selling point would be, I'll give you the best quality out there. I'm the one charging X amount where you could get it for a tenth of the price, but let me show you why I'm so much more worth paying someone 10 euros an hour versus 100 euros or whatever you bill out at. So yeah, that's your selling point, and I would use it to your advantage. You know, I'm local here, or I speak your language, or you can always get a hold of me, and you know, look at my portfolio. There's certainly a selling point, but there's enough clients out there for everybody. Certainly for everybody.
What's your URL? How can you find it?
Oh, thank you. Supremeoutsourcing.com. Supremeoutsourcing.com.
Yes.
I feel like
You said you've been traveling for like 6 years?
Yeah.
What are some of the best places you've been?
Oh man. Really, I like to believe it's everywhere that I am. You know, wherever I am is the best place. But yeah, I've seen some like amazing things. You know, pyramids of Egypt. Went to Burning Man. That was a cool event. Toured through Turkey. Obviously, this summer I've been all through Europe. Been all through Central America a few times, South America, Southeast Asia. You know, best places I've been. They're all amazing in their own right. They really are. Really, really are. Yeah.
What's the next big challenge for your business?
You know, the next big challenge for my business is when I choose
Can I rephrase that,
to.
actually?
What's that?
What's the next big challenge and what's the next level?
Yeah, so the next big challenge for my business and the next level is if and when I decide to kind of plant myself somewhere, and I plan on doing it at some point, whether that happens in a year or 10 or I don't know when it'll happen, or maybe I'll change my mind and decide to take this challenge on, I'm going to share in a moment, while I'm traveling, is I believe I have a $1 million company. You know, I'm in the 6 figures, which I feel very comfortable with. I have money in the bank, you know, every month and enough to do anything that I want. But I think it would be kind of cool to have a 7-figure company. And I haven't decided when I'm going to do that, but when I do it, I'll be committed to it. Yeah. Again, for me, it's a lifestyle business. You know, I've got my, as Tim calls that meme, you know, that thing that supports my lifestyle, and it works for me right now. You know?
You said you started in the Philippines, and now you're still in the Philippines. You believe
The team is in the Philippines, that's correct.
you believe it's still the country to be to grow your business?
So the question is the Philippines the country to be? I mean, there's, you know, 193 or 200 some odd, you know, countries out in the world. Again, it's very subjective, and I believe there's business for everybody. You know, if you look at the outsourcing industry, it might have started, you know, in China for physical goods or Latin America for physical goods, but when we got to the digital age, you heard a lot of call centers out of India. People had problems with their accents, and they started moving over to the Philippines, and now with a lot of more digital type services, people are looking at, you know, Malaysia, Vietnam, and all these other places. I would say that for you, if you're looking to outsource, I'd find a place that you feel most comfortable. Like for me, I'll never forget when I like made a decision, no more. Like this is something that's making a difference to me. It was 2 in the morning, and I wanted to go to sleep, but I had an appointment to talk to a guy that I met on one of these online companies that Brandon was talking about to find people. And he got on the phone and he was, I couldn't understand a word he said. The phone call lasted about 20 seconds. And I was just like, what am I doing here? I can't believe I stayed awake just to talk to this guy. I can't work with, me, I couldn't work with someone like it. You guys might be able to. But for me, and the level that I was looking at, I needed someone with a little bit better communication skills. And I personally felt most comfortable with the communication skills of the Philippines. Now, when you get more granular to the actual work that's being done, I would choose it for you because, you know, accounting work is different than web development work, is different than design work, is different than call center work, is different than, you know, video editing work, is different than all these places. So I can't make a prediction on the future of the world.
Thank you. I've been there in the Philippines, and they are the most common people to like Europeans or Americans.
Yeah, Filipino American.
And they can speak your language.
Yeah, there's a big American influence out there, and I always think they're the land of smiles. Every time I go out there, by the way, I love the Philippines, I feel like a celebrity or something. They just all smile at you, and it's really nice. Yeah.
How you recruit?
Okay, this is a great question that you said at the end of that, by the way. So this is kind of my secret sauce, but I'll give it to you guys. So we used to do, as Brandon was saying, post all the ads and do whatever we could do to find people. I was going crazy doing that. And this was when I was building for my other company. And then I finally found a company who was doing what I'm doing. I found a company, and I was like, look, just find me this person. I was paying a premium for it. So we started doing that for a while, and then I had my team, and then we started selling the services. What we do today, which is brilliant, and if you're not doing this, here's the gift for you guys. I would say 99.9% of all employees that work for us right now are referred in. So we don't go out and test people that might, maybe we still do it, but almost everybody that works for us today was referred in by somebody. That way, someone who's already working for the company vouches for them. Also, we give them some money for everyone if they stay for 90 days. We give them some money, so there's like an extra incentive for our current team to find other team members. So if you guys aren't doing that, that's something I highly encourage.